News is the first draft of history. It is immediate and takes place in real time. Legends take longer to develop and are sometimes based on myth. This Fox News series looks at the truth behind the legend. Previously on Legends and Lies, the Patriots.
I propose that we establish an association for the purpose of resisting these attacks to our rights.
We won't sit idle while the king's agents lead us dry.
Our Liberty boys are gonna give the Tories hell.
Just a warning shot.
Remember every detail of this, Mr. Revere. Every detail.
With by sea, eh, Mr. Revere?
That's right, sir.
The regulars are coming out! The regulars are coming out! The regulars are on the march! Oh, damn you or you'll get!
What's up that road?
Only about 500 of the best men in the colony. We know you're after Hancock and Adams and the cannon at Concord.
He's a damn spy, sir.
Speak the truth, or I'll blow your brains out.
Pushed to their limits by an oppressive empire, a determined group of rebels unites under the cause of liberty. Their quest for freedom will unify a people, ignite a revolution, and forge a new system of government. In time, these brave men and women will come to be known as the American Patriots. John Adams, Boston's most influential founding father, a firebrand, an outspoken voice for human rights and the rule of law. But behind every voice stands a man, and behind every legend lies the truth.
There is a misconception that the Patriots from Boston are a brotherhood of freedom fighters operating in lockstep. Two of our founding fathers, Sam and John Adams, actually members of the same family, find themselves at odds over the growing revolution. While Sam keeps the fervor of the rebellion boiling in the streets, John Adams isn't sure that defying the king, an act of treason punishable by death, is a good idea. Even after the Boston Massacre, John Adams needs more convincing before committing to revolution.
Damn you, you coward!
Help me with this man! Good God, he'll start another riot with this.
The Boston Massacre becomes a huge propaganda effort for Samuel Adams and the Sons of Liberty. You've got an immediately famous engraving by Paul Revere. It is one of the most inaccurate pieces of propaganda ever produced by an American press. Almost nothing in it is correct.
This is treason!
This is an early instance in the colonies of the power of what we now call media to shape public opinion.
You bloody liar!
Well, Sam, will it do?
Some of your finest work, I'd say.
Samuel, you've replaced the customs house with Butcher's Hall. What else have you changed?
Look around you, cousin. The people demand justice.
By the actions of an angry mob, Samuel, justice that is not.
Those bastards killed 5 of our own. When are you going to get down off the fence and join the cause of your brethren?
John Adams and Samuel Adams were not necessarily close. Sam Adams was a failed tax collector with a long history of debt.
John Adams was a very principled man. He agreed in general with people like Samuel Adams, but on the other hand, he was one who thought that things could get out of control.
The rift between the Adams cousins is only made worse when John takes the case to defend the soldiers involved with the Boston Massacre.
What is the matter, John?
Representing the King's men in these times could put us all in grave danger.
You promised Captain Preston and those men you'd take their case. There is no one in this colony or any other more suited to preserve justice than you, John. Either you believe in the principles you say you do, or you do not. Which is it?
Those men deserve a defense. And we must show the world that Boston is capable of giving them a fair trial.
He believes every man in a free country deserves a fair trial. But ambition does play a part in this. There's no bigger case. That cocktail of principle and ambition wins out, and he signs on as their attorney.
In Boston, anti-British sentiment is everywhere. The defendants, Captain Thomas Preston and 8 troops, face hanging if found guilty.
You may proceed, sir.
To get to the truth behind the shooting, Adams must uncover who gave the order to shoot and whether it was justified.
I am for the prisoners at the bar. And for uncovering the truth of this tragedy. This tragedy was not brought on by these soldiers, but by the actions of a hostile and unruly mob.
He develops a defense that is based on the fact that this was a mob that was created and a situation of escalating violence was building.
The part I took in defense of Captain Preston and the soldiers was the most exhausting and fatiguing cause I ever tried, for hazarding my popularity and for incurring suspicions and prejudices which will never be forgotten as long as the history of this period is read.
Colonist Richard Palms is a key eyewitness whose testimony could turn the case for Adams. Of the 22 witnesses at the Boston Massacre trial, Palms' location, just feet from the gunfire, puts him in the best position to say whether the order to fire comes from Captain Preston.
Mr. Palms. Sir. Describe for the court, if you will, how you came upon the scene in question.
Someone said that there was a rumpus down on King Street. So, of course, I went down there to see Captain Preston ahead of 7 or 8 soldiers at the customs house with fixed bayonets.
Get off King Street! Captain! Are your soldiers' weapons loaded?
With powder and ball, sir. As soon as he spoke, I saw something resembling ice or snow hit Private Montgomery on his right. Private Montgomery stepped 1 foot back and then fired his gun. But I had my hand on Captain Preston's shoulder after the shot was fired, and then I heard the word fire.
And from whose mouth did the word fire emanate?
I heard the word fire, but who gave it, I know not.
With his cousin mounting a strong defense, Sam Adams sees his efforts to provoke an uprising slipping through his fingers.
John Adams' ace in the hole trial, which his cousin doesn't want him to use, is a deathbed confession from Patrick Carr.
Doctor, good morning. When had you your last conversation with Patrick Carr?
About 4 o'clock in the afternoon, preceding the night on which he died.
And what was it he said?
He said he fired...
Yes, but why did the soldier fire?
He fired... to defend himself.
To defend himself!
To defend himself. The defense rests, Your Honor.
By today's standards, Dr. Jeffrey's testimony recounting a dying man's last words would be considered inadmissible. Hearsay. But puritanical thinking gives John Adams an advantage. At the time, deathbed testimony is considered irrefutable, since it is believed that no one would dare lie so close to facing God's final judgment.
Hugh Montgomery, Matthew Kilroy, you are found guilty of manslaughter, and for your crimes are hereby sentenced to be branded. Captain Thomas Preston. As for you and the rest of your men, you are all found not guilty.
Far from ruining his career, his defense of the soldiers solidifies John Adams as the most gifted legal mind in Boston, perhaps all the colonies. But to put that brilliant mind to use, Sam Adams and his Sons of Liberty must first convince him to join them in open rebellion. Because when their struggle turns to war, they will need John Adams to persuade a people to defy their king and to define the ideals of freedom and liberty upon which America will be built.
I believe we have certain rights, and I am not prepared to cede these rights to any man, no matter how noble his title.